Okay, welcome back, everyone. So every year, Medicare's open enrollment period is October 15th through December 7th. The process of enrolling and updating plans can be frustrating for aging patients, resulting in many staying on the same plan, even if it isn't the best option for their healthcare needs. So helping patients navigate this process is an excellent opportunity for independent pharmacists or pharmacists in general to act as healthcare resources for their community, providing high-touch, personalized service, improving retention, and increasing profitability, the things that we're talking about constantly at Climb. And helping patients enrolling in mutual beneficial plan, one that saves them money and doesn't hurt your pharmacy's bottom line. So I'm pleased to welcome three panelists to today's discussion on open enrollment. From Western Drug in Springerville, Arizona, we have Janae Jumper. From White's Pharmacy in Sitka, Alaska, Caitlin Yalto. And of course, you all recognize our presenter today, Chris Corneliuson. So we really appreciate you all being with us to talk Medicare open enrollment. Thank you for joining us. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to start with you, Janae. Just a quick, what does your pharmacy's open enrollment process consist of? What do you do?
So we utilize Amplicare. So obviously we try to start advertising it at least a couple weeks in advance, because we like to make sure that we have appointments set up for this, so we're not interfering with our workflow. So usually we usually use a majority of our lead techs to do it, but this year I wanted to make sure I was the only one doing it because I am the clinical technician over here. So I already work with Medicare. So we make sure that we advertise either with using our marquee, or we do have a banner that we usually hang up in the store or outside. And then also just advertising either in the Wampum Saver, or even we thought about doing automatic calls to our 65 and older patients. And then we just set up pretty much appointments whenever the availability is. And we just utilize Amplicare for this.
Okay, so Caitlin, do you similar program, and are you scheduling calls, or do you make outbound calls to the customers? What do you do the same or different from what Janae was just telling us?
We do use Amplicare as well. We also cross-reference with Medicare.gov. I like to run both plan comparisons just to kind of give the best estimate. Everything is just an estimate. And so running a cross comparison gives me a little bit more confidence that my recommendation is sound. We have used outbound calls in the past. Last year, they all went out on the same day, and we got tons of phone calls back to the pharmacy. So that was kind of a bummer.
Oops.
We decided not to do that this year, but we did use letters to that age group, 65 and older, and we did mail some letters out this year.
Okay. And back to you, Janae, before I get back to you, Chris, just a follow up. So you said you thought about doing it, but did you not do the outbound calls?
So this year with COVID and everything, it's just been pretty much talking to our patients that are coming in. And we do a lot of back stuffers as well to our people that are 65 and older. Just this year, it's been a little bit of a different approach on how we get patients in for Medicare appointments, but just pretty much the whole people talking about, my copays are really high, or I'm paying too much for my monthly premium. That's usually our target. Like, well, we do offer Medicare appointments from this time to this time if you're interested. But next year, we definitely want to take it head on and see if there's different approaches on how we can get more people in our doors for Medicare appointments.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll come back to the COVID and see if there, what other things how that is impacted. But I do have a question for Chris first. When we were talking earlier, Chris, by the way, had 3 pharmacies that he just sold last month. And when we were talking, you mentioned something called MedDDay. Can you tell us what that is, or what that was, I guess?
Yes. Now I sold my pharmacies to an independent pharmacist, so I kept them independent.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. So we for several years, we did what we call MedDDay. And what we wanted to do is have a day that we marketed toward So we created a buzz in the community. And yes, we did the same things that day we did other days. We just put a lot of pizzazz into that day. We'd have snacks, we'd have educational 15-minute spurts like what does your Medicare cover, drug nutrient depletions, things we had. And we turned it to an event where we scheduled appointments. And what that does every year is it sets us up as the expert in the community, and it keeps our membership growing. The other things we do, I like what y'all are doing, we do bag stuffers, but we give bag stuffers to everybody. I call that blasting, and the reasons, because we want to get that caregiver for a grandparent or something or other. We hit our sync call patients first. Okay, so when we're doing a sync call for the month, we got their MedDay plan already tabulated before we call them. We're asking them if they want to see 2-3 options or what they want to do. But we're on MedDDay, we're trying to get everybody we missed, and we're trying to bring people from outside sources in. However, we're marketing our 4 walls all the way up to D-Day, saying like, if Brad was our customer, we'd say, hey, Brad, you want to go ahead and take care of yours before D-Day. And then if you want to come in that day, that's great. But we're just continually, year after year, setting ourselves up as the expert in the industry. And you'd be surprised how many times out in the community people stop me and say, hey, I need to come by and talk about my Medicare. And they're not our previous customer. They're moving on because we have this persona of we're the experts. And we use Amplicare, we use med.gov, we use all that. I found a fascinating article I'm going to share with you guys. It's called Mitigation Through Migration. I think this is the first year where we really have to say, is a patient adherent? And do we put them in a plan that rewards adherence? Or if we can't get this patient adherent, do we want to put them in a plan that maybe doesn't penalize us as much as adherence? That's going to be good for the patient and the pharmacy. The article is by Nick Brook, and you might Google it because it's all about that. I think fascinating article.
I'll tell you what, let's, what we'll do, we'll post that on the Climb LinkedIn page. We'll post that. So anybody who's listening, you can see it there for sure. That's great stuff. So just Caitlin, to you real quick, why is it so important to help your patients with selecting the right plan? I think Chris mentioned a couple of them there, but what are your thoughts there?
The biggest thing is cost savings, I think, for the patient on that end. A good portion of my patients here at our business are 65 and older and are on Medicare. And so they're always counting dollars and trying to save money. And for them not to realize that shopping every year is what they should be doing is kind of training your patient group. But also just to make sure that that one drug that they've struggled to get either the doctor to prescribe or to continue to get through the pharmacy or a prior authorization to have been completed last year, that one drug that they need to continue might not be covered on their next plan. And highlighting issues that are going to come up next year is huge for those patients because I don't think that they think about that.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then we're actually running long here. We're at 9:04. We're about 10 minutes long. I do have two more questions, and then we're going to have to wrap up. And but Janae, you started to mention, or you mentioned COVID having an impact. I'm going to kind of start with you, but open it up to any of you. What have you done differently because of COVID?
So we actually had pretty much whenever COVID hit hard, we ended up splitting up into teams. So we were pretty much utilizing half of our staff on this many days and then the other half on the rest of the week. So we pretty much all came back together as a full team in August. So we're just trying to get back into the groove of things because we were just pretty much doing our regular filling, inputting, and verifying medications and filling medications. That's pretty much all that we had time for. And so whenever we came back into teams in August, we were just trying to get back into the groove of things of what we needed to pretty much finish up for the rest of the year. So we didn't really fully advertise that we were doing Medicare appointments again. So for sure next year, we want to make sure that we're putting our name out there that we do offer this versus patients going to or getting contacted by brokers, because pretty much it's just, we do this for our community. We don't get anything out of it. We just want to make sure that our patients are getting taken care of.
Okay. Now, are any of you doing it virtually or anything to add there, but is anybody doing any of it virtually?
I was going to say that this is the first year because of COVID. We used Amplicare's add-on to where we would call the patient, ask them if they wanted to break it down to 2 or 3 features, and you could give them, I hope I'm using the proper terminology, basically a link, and we'd shoot that link to the patient, and now they open up their site and they get to look at 3 plans, and then they choose it and sign up. I thought that was a really nice COVID feature. And it's the first year we've done it that way. We traditionally have done it over the phone or had them come in, but we offer that right off the bat. And that's gotten us some new business too, because people are hearing, hey, I can go in this pharmacy, they'll send it to me. I don't have as many contacts into the store. And that's been positive.
Okay.
Yeah, in previous years, we've set up a table and just had a visual. And I've been sitting there with a laptop and a sign and flyers and the whole 9 yards. But we did not do that this year. We didn't have the space and didn't want to constrain our other workflow operations there and limit people in the store. So we did restrict it to either phone calls or appointments out at our business office, so where we can just have small meetings.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that absolutely makes sense. So I can completely see why you would be doing, how that would have an impact. So, I as I was preparing for this, I came across an interesting promotional way of doing this, and I just want to tell you about it and then see what your thoughts are. And then I'm going to be moving on. But what this one pharmacy is doing is they're setting up a flip chart or a whiteboard where they keep a tally of how much money they're saving their patients. And so after each sit down, after each meeting, they update the tally. So if they are going to save this patient $250 with the premiums and copays over the course of the year, they cross out the last number and add $250 to it, and they have that right where all the patients can see it in the pharmacy. And of course, I don't think this is going to work this year with COVID, but moving forward, and then they said that they get all kinds of questions because they're seeing this and the patients are asking now, what can you do for me? Do you do anything like that, or have you thought of that, or have you heard of that? Would you do that in the future? Anyone?
I haven't heard of that, but I think it's a wonderful idea.
I'd never heard that either, Brad. And when you shared it with me earlier, as we were talking, I thought that was a phenomenal idea. It really gives the perception you care, you are doing the work, and it shows a running total. One of the best ideas I've heard in a while, to be honest.
Well, go ahead. Janae, were you going to say something?
Well, we already do something like that with all of our other programs that we're in. We pretty much every Tuesday we meet to see how many CMRs we've completed, how many tips, how many in-sync patients we have, med-sync patients. And so I think that's something that we can definitely add on to it, either for the remaining of Medicare enrollment or just even for next year, just to see like, hey, how many patients did we actually do Medicare appointments for, and how much are we saving them on this as well?
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate it. We are way over now. I said 10 minutes, it's going to be longer than that. I apologize to everybody who's watching. I hope you can stick around. I think this is such important stuff. And so, again, it helps improve your bottom line, keep your patients compliant. It's an important thing. So we're going to, I'm going to invite the 4 of you to join us here in about it's probably like 3 minutes. We're going to do a Q&A after. I'm going to join Brian Hillman here in a moment to give the Climate Senator Award, and then we're just going to bring you back on, and we're just going to open it up to questions. I know we have quite a few questions, so let me do that. I'll transition now to join Brian Hillman, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Thanks again. Really appreciate your feedback.
You're welcome.